Let's talk about a single day, just 24 hours, that completely flipped the entire world of artificial intelligence on its head. Today, we're breaking down a day that really set the stage for a brand new era of power, of principles, and honestly, a level of risk we'd never seen before. Okay, so let's set the scene. The date you need to remember is February 27th, 2026. And look, this wasn't some slow, gradual change. No, this was an earthquake, a sudden tectonic shift that redrew the entire AI power map, pitting the giants against each other and forcing everyone to pick a side. So how did this all go down? Well, it was a whirlwind. In the morning, you have OpenAI announcing this just historic funding round. Then, by midday, boom, they've landed a huge contract with the Pentagon. And then, before the day's even over, their biggest competitor, Anthropic, gets slammed, basically blacklisted by the White House. I mean, three massive shocks, all in under 12 hours. Unbelievable. All right, so here's our plan. We're going to break down those three earthquakes. We'll look at the deal of principle that started it all, dig into the crazy fallout, make sense of the new AI economy that's popping up, and finally, get to what this whole power shift actually means for you. Okay, let's dive right in. This whole thing, the absolute core of it comes down to one single government contract, and really a fundamental clash in how two of the biggest AI companies on the planet see the world. And this is where it gets really interesting. The whole complex ethical mess boils down to one critical difference. On one side, you've got OpenAI, who basically said, sure, we'll comply with existing laws. But Anthropic? They said, nope, not good enough. They demanded explicit, new red lines written into the contract, a total ban on using their tech for autonomous weapons and surveillance. They drew a serious line in the sand. And legal experts jumped on this right away. They saw the loophole. OpenAI's approach sounded reasonable, but as Professor Tillerman pointed out, it left them with no real power to say no if a request was technically legal, but ethically, well, questionable. That's the very power Anthropic was fighting to have. Now get this, the drama wasn't just between the companies. It was happening inside OpenAI. You had dozens of their own people signing a public letter that basically supported Anthropic's tougher stance. That just goes to show you how deep this ethical divide was, even within the winning company. It was a huge signal that the industry itself was being torn apart by this. Okay, so what happened after Anthropic took this stand? Well, the fallout was swift and honestly just shocking. The way the government responded was something the US tech world had literally never seen before. They hit them with this designation, supply chain risk. And to really get how wild that is, you have to know what that label is usually for. It's a national security weapon, right? Something you use to block companies like Huawei or ZTE, hostile foreign tech. It's not supposed to be used on a major American AI company. And this is where the story just veers into the twilight zone. Here's contradiction number one. While the White House is calling Anthropic's tech a risk to the country, the Pentagon admits they're, get this, still using it in active military operations. How does that even work? Which brings us to the biggest, most mind-bending irony of all. Think about it. Anthropic got blacklisted not because they were being dangerous, but because they were trying to be more ethical. They were asking for more restrictions than the government even put in the contract. It's just wild. But all this chaos led to something pretty amazing: solidarity. You had researchers from rival companies, we're talking Google, OpenAI, you name it, publicly supporting Anthropic. Even Google's top AI guy, Jeff Dean, signed on. And their reason was crystal clear and honestly pretty scary. They said, if this precedent is set, we are next. They saw the writing on the wall. This wasn't about Anthropic anymore. It was about whether anyone in AI would have the right to say no. So you have to remember, this whole fight over ethics and principles, it wasn't happening in a vacuum. Not at all. It was playing out on a stage where a massive economic tidal wave was about to crash, one that was all about grabbing power. Remember that crazy day? On the very same day Anthropic got put on the blacklist, OpenAI drops a bombshell. They've raised $110 billion. No, that is not a typo. Billion with a B. It's the biggest private funding round ever. This was Amazon, NVIDIA, and SoftBank basically saying, we're betting the house on OpenAI to own the future. That single investment shot OpenAI's valuation up to $730 billion. To give you some scale, that's more than double where they were just a year ago. We're talking about a valuation that's in the same league as the entire economy of a country like Switzerland. It's insane. But here's the kicker. This company that's worth nearly $1 trillion, it's projected to lose $14 billion this year. So what does that tell you? This game isn't about making a profit right now. It's an all-out war to control the fundamental infrastructure of AI. And Amazon's CEO, Andy Jassy, didn't even hide it. He basically said, look, we're doing this because we want every single developer building with OpenAI's models to do it on our cloud, on AWS. It's about owning the pipes, the platform. It's a classic land grab, just for the digital age. But here's this fascinating flip side to the story. While these corporate giants are in this epic battle for dominance, the very same tools are sparking a revolution from the bottom up. We're seeing this explosion of one-person startups. Why? Because AI is making it cheaper and easier than ever for a single person to build something powerful. Okay, so we've got all this high-level corporate and political drama, but what does any of this mean for you? For the developers, the founders, the creators who are actually using these tools. All right, let's play out the scenarios. Best case, Anthropic wins its lawsuit. This would be huge. It would establish legally that an AI company has the right to enforce its own ethical principles, to say no when a line is crossed. Now, the more probable outcome, the base case, is this thing gets dragged through the courts for a long, long time. And while that's happening, we could see the AI world split right down the middle. You'd have one market for government and defense, and another one for everyone else. And that split, it probably means more complexity and higher costs for all of us. And then there's the worst case. Anthropic loses. The court sides with the government. That would send a chilling message across the entire industry. Standing up for your ethics is officially a business risk. Can you imagine? It would basically tell every other AI startup to just fall in line and never question a government contract. So, if you're building stuff in this new landscape, what should you do? Here's a quick action plan. 1. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Build redundancy. Have a backup plan. 2. Get ready for costs to go up. Stress test your business model. What happens if your AI API costs triple overnight? And 3. Keep an eye on the talent. A lot of brilliant people are leaving the big companies right now. That's a huge opportunity for small, nimble teams to scoop them up. And all of this really leaves us with one massive, lingering question, doesn't it? That single day in February forced a collision between principles and pure compliance. So as we step into this new world of AI, the biggest question of all is, who actually gets to decide our future? Who's holding the pen that draws the ethical lines in the sand? Right now, that's still very much an open question.